And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside.
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to The Bald Truth. Sorry for the late start today. We had a couple of technical problems, but I think everything's fixed. Let me give out the phone number, 888-659-3727. Live from Los Angeles. Of course, I'm Spencer Kobren, and this is the Hair Loss Show. You know, as insane as that sounds, if you're new to the broadcast, we've been doing this for quite a long time. And the reason we're able to do this is because there's about 200,000 of you waking up every day for the first time, realizing that you're losing your hair. And most of you, especially if you're really not prepared for hair loss, some guys are because they see it happening in their family, to their brothers, to their dad, whatever it is, so they're kind of, they're braced for it. But I think most people, even though they think it might happen, once it hits people like a ton of bricks, and we panic. We just don't know where to turn, what to do. And sadly, especially at the beginning, most of us are not equipped to really deal with the unknown, what it's going to be like to be a hair loss sufferer. How we're going to be perceived in the world, how we're going to be perceived by our peers. That's a tough word for me. By our friends, by our family, by the opposite sex or the same sex. The issue is not that hair loss is a disease that necessarily hurts us physically. But it's really the emotional aspect of this issue. That's why we call it a disease of the spirit. And sadly, because we're so vulnerable, especially at the beginning of hair loss, the initial throes of the situation, we will buy anything, subscribe to anything, try anything just for a little hope. We're all really desperate. And, if you're new to the broadcast, you might not know my story, but I'm a guy who's been dealing with hair loss since he was 21 years old. And if you're looking at me right now, I'm 47, and you're saying, okay, this guy still has hair on his head. May not be that great, but it is what it is. Why is he doing a show about hair loss? Well, the reason I do this is when at one point, I was just like you. I was a guy who was completely lost, didn't know where to turn, was just desperate, clinging on to anything, trying to stop my hair loss, trying to save every last strand of hair. And what I realized early on is that the vast majority of the industry is complete bullshit. Even today, it's a $3.5 billion a year industry. 99% of all products being sold just don't work. And there's a reason for that. Or I should say there's a reason why these products are able to be sold. It's because we're so vulnerable. We'll just buy anything. We're stupid. But then there's the other side of the coin. There are the guys who are equipped to deal with hair loss. For some reason, they're just like, fuck it. I don't want to take drugs. I don't want to have hair transplants. I don't want to wear a piece. I am, I don't really get it. I try to understand it. But these guys are capable of saying, you know what? Maybe I'm going to mourn my hair for a little while. There's really nothing I can do about it that, where I'm comfortable as far as, either spending the money, taking the chances. I'm just going to shave my head and say, fuck it, I'm going to live my life. And there's a lot of really successful guys out there who either just kind of let nature take its course or take control of the situation in a way that I'm not equipped to do. But by shaving their heads. And these are the guys that I really, really admire. Now, we deal with the psychology of those who really are not equipped. And I say equipped, I'm going to say it 1,000 times this broadcast, like I say every show. They're not equipped to deal with hair loss. Guys like me who were going to, willing to do anything to stop their hair loss within reason, or cover their hair loss, or do whatever it is to make them feel comfortable in their own skin. But then there are guys who are able to be comfortable in their own skin by taking charge and just letting it go. There was a recent article, a study that was actually published in the Wall Street Journal, basically stating that, at least in this study, in this relatively small group, men with shaved heads are perceived to be more powerful. They're perceived to be more successful. They're perceived to be people who are taking control of their lives, taking control of their destiny. Now, while the same study basically states that, and I don't even have it in front of me, which I should, basically states that the participants of the study, when they were looking at images of guys with shaved heads or guys who were just thinning, agreed that both guys who were thinning and guys with shaved heads, and I'm going to have someone on the show who may correct me if I'm wrong, might be less attractive to some degree. But it's the guys who just kind of walk around with a thinning, head of hair, who may, not really take charge of it. These are the guys who are perceived to be the weakest, perceived to be the least attractive, as opposed to the guys who take control of their hair loss and just shave their heads. It's pretty amazing to me. Now, I kind of get it to some degree. To me, I'm jealous when I see these guys who are these Vin Diesels, who are, these guys who are just looking totally, studly and really cool and just confident with a shaved head. I've said this before. I would look like Kane from Kung Fu. And I think it would be ridiculous. But, I wanted to bring on a guest today who we've had on the show before. His name is Todd Greene. He is the founder and inventor of HeadBlade. And this is a guy who not only took charge of his life by shaving his head, he decided to turn his Achilles heel into his career. And I greatly admire this guy. He has an incredibly successful business. And I got to tell you, to me, and I've said this before, this is the ultimate cure for hair loss. Let's say hi to Todd Greene. See if he's on the line. Hey, Todd, you there?
Yes. Hello, Spencer.
How are you, man? What's happening?
I'm doing fine. When I listen to you talk about the whole hair loss, and it gets depressing for me because I remember when I was there, because you and I are about the same age.
Right. I think I'm a few years younger than you.
45.
Yeah, I'm 47.
Okay, yeah, I'm 45.
Close.
But when I just started shaving my head when I was 22 or 23, I felt the same way that you feel now of, I'm going to shave my head, I'm going to look like, who did you say, Kane from King Kong?
Kane from Kung Fu.
Okay, so yeah. I thought I would look like Baby Huey.
Right.
Well, I'd have this big white head that, sans of putting shutters on my head,
right.
It would look like a big house.
Right.
So everybody feels that way.
Yeah. Well, but there are guys, sadly, there are guys that, they do look that way, but they're still equipped to, they figure it out. They, they get a sense of, new sense of style, and they just kind of move on with their lives. Even if they don't look as great as they would like, they're still capable of dealing with it. And I cater to a large demographic of guys, hair loss sufferers who can never deal with it. And I hope we can, change that to some degree. I don't know if I could ever do it. And maybe I could.
That.
Say that again?
I do have a question about that because we all have that insecurity.
Yeah.
And it is like the security blanket. It's like, dating a woman who has beautiful long blonde hair and that's her signature look.
Right.
And, oh my gosh, whatever happens if she cut her hair short.
Right.
Now, with shaving your head, you have the same kind of insecurity of, once I shave my head and there's this transition period. But when you talk about, guys that see their fathers or their father-in-laws or their brothers who have hair loss, did you have that in your family?
I really didn't. My dad was a balding man, but he was only balding on the crown. So as I didn't really see recession in his hairline until he was much older. So as a kid, you see a guy, who's combing his hair straight back, and he looks like he's got basically a full head of hair. So I wasn't, prepared for it because there were no like Norwood 7s, at least in my immediate family. I come to find out later that, all of his uncles were complete Norwood 6s and 7s by the age of 30.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. Of course I didn't find this out until I started to lose my hair and I started to ask questions.
And then you found out. But I think with people who have other family members who are either doing a comb over or their hair is thinning or somebody shaves, it's a great way to vicariously put yourself in that position.
Right.
Because you see what people are saying from before they were shaving their head till after. When I was in my late teens, early 20s, and I was losing my hair, my grandmother tried to pay me not to shave my head.
Really?
And
how much was she willing to pay you?
Oh, I don't know, a couple $100. Wasn't where we were really negotiating.
Right.
It wasn't like, I see you and raise you 50. But
right. I may have negotiated with Grandma. I mean, I never had a grandmother who would offer me money like that.
When I lived in Seattle, and I'm from Maine and went to a small liberal arts college, and I had friends who were getting married in Boston, and I was supposed to be the best man. And I had moved out to Seattle and started shaving my head. And they were worried, and this is 1992, they were worried about me coming back to Boston and being best man with a shaved head.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I mean, so I got it from all sides because I started shaving at such a young age, and before it was very popular to shave.
It's interesting. That reminds me of something. I had a friend when I was living down. He was actually my roommate at Penn State, and then I moved to Bethesda, Maryland for a while, and his parents lived down there. He was living with his parents. This is right after college, right after I dropped out of college. And his brother was a young Norwood, and he started to lose his hair probably about 16, 17 years old. This kid ended up losing his hair too. But he was shaving his head. And you're talking about 1986 or 1987. And his parents were mortified. They were embarrassed of this guy.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I just remembered even this guy's brother, my friend, was just like, I remember he came to the New Year's Eve party my brother had, and, we're hanging out, and he's wearing like this little, kind of like a Rastafarian beret. I don't know what those hats are called, but you know what I mean, like a woolen, not a beret, but kind of like a beret. And he kind of had this really cool look going, and his brother was mortified that he was actually hanging out with us because he shaved his head.
Yeah, I had family members who were worried that other people thought I was sick. What's wrong with Todd?
Yeah.
Why is he shaving his head?
Yeah.
I mean, I used to get everything. I remember when I moved to Seattle, and I'm a Jewish white guy from Maine, and my landlord, who knew I was Jewish, asked me if I was a skinhead. And I said, I mean, I don't think you really understand what that means. That I hate myself that much.
Right.
But it really was when it was Right Said Fred, okay, Todd's Right Said Fred. When it was Natural Born Killers, okay, Todd's, Woody Harrelson. So it was like whatever white guy was shaving, it was like white guy shaving of the week. You're that guy.
But how did you, you're a young guy. How were you able to deal with that? How were you able to just like kind of move on and say, you know what, this is what it is. What am I going to do?
Well, I had a lot of the same insecurities. I think I told you last time, because when I was in Philadelphia and I was losing my hair, and I can send you a picture or put it up on my website of me through the years of losing my hair. My ears stick out.
Right.
And my brother used to say I look like a car with its doors open. And I remember when I moved from Philadelphia to Seattle, part of the reason why I decided to shave then was I thought, when I get to Seattle, nobody's going to know what I look like with hair.
Yeah.
So they can't say you look better with hair.
Yeah.
But I remember telling somebody that story about my ears sticking out, and my brother said I look like a car with its doors open. And the guy said, no, you don't look like a car with its doors open. And I said, thank you, because I'm really self-conscious about it. He goes, no, with your head shaved, you look like a convertible with its doors open.
Yeah.
So
I remember when you told me that, yeah.
It gives you really thick skin. But then in Seattle, was all of a sudden it was the music thing and, the grunge, and it was a lot more accepting than it was back east.
Right.
And it became a little more popular and more edgy. And then I realized one day when I went to a bar, and when I walked in the bar, somebody took a magic marker and wrote a number on my head.
Wow.
On the back of my head, because every guy with a shaved head that went into the bar, they would write a number on your head so people could tell you apart. And I thought, wow, at least there's 7 guys here with a shaved head. So I knew it was getting more popular. And going back to when you talk about it's really the insecurity of shaving your head.
Yeah,
And
it's the fear. It's the fear of the unknown. It's no matter what. Now we have, programs that we can, websites we can go on, kind of get an idea of what we look like without our hair. But it's not the same. It's what is my head going to look like? Am I going to have like ridges and bumps? Am I going to have like discoloration? Is it going to be, something where, I don't even know. I mean, I would probably shave it, wear a hat for a while, maybe get out in the sun. I don't know what I would do. But I don't think I could walk. I don't think I could walk out of the house right away after a shave.
No, everybody thinks they're going to look stupid, and in a lot of ways, it's because you're not owning that look, and it's kind of like you're afraid of how you look, and then you kind of put off that energy.
Right.
But really, when you shave your head, you definitely become a different you. And it is that security blanket that once you give it up, when you said it's the fear of the unknown. Well, it's like once you jump in the water, you're in the water.
Right.
And then you realize, wow, it's not that bad. And then you start to like it.
Yeah, my wife is under the impression that, I would look fine. And I talked to her about it. I'm like, I don't know if I want to keep painting my head. At some point, maybe I will try to cut it really short or shave it. I basically have to go off the air, though, for a while if I did that. But
no, you just. But what I was going to say is, not to plug my stuff, but we do have a free iPhone app.
Yeah.
Which lets you shave your own head.
Yeah, why don't you plug your stuff? I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, well, it's a free. Yeah, okay, go buy my free iPhone app.
Okay.
But anyways, if you go to the HeadBlade site and you go to the iPhone app, it is a really great app that lets you digitally shave your head, and it's very convincing looking. But going back to the insecurity of shaving your head, part of what I had back when I was in my 20s, which you probably experienced also, is if you stay up late at night, it's either you're too fat, you're too bald, or you can't clean your house fast enough.
Right.
Right?
Sure.
And that was, for me, it was always the Rogaine transplant toupee, and you really feel like, wow, everybody's looking at me.
Right.
Everybody's saying, hey, he's losing his hair. And then you look at now so many guys shave their heads, and even like Hair Club. Hair Club was just sold to a Japanese company.
Sure.
Because it was owned by Regis.
Right.
And their profits are, down 40% in the last 5-6 years?
Well, what's amazing, it was sold for $163 million to Adirans, who owns Bosley Medical.
Right. Oh, totally. So, yeah.
Which is amazing because they were losing money. And I think Regis Corporation bought it for like $25 million.
Did they bought it for only $25 million?
They bought it for only $25 million from Psy.
Oh, I thought they bought it for... I
could be wrong. I thought that.
No, you're right about Cy Sperling sold here, because people always ask me, and I say, yeah, I'm the Cy Sperling of head shaving. I'm not just the president. I'm also a client.
Right.
It says here in 2000 he sold it for $45 million to a private equity firm.
Oh, it was $45 million. Okay.
Regis then bought it for $210 million.
Ah, okay.
So Regis lost a chunk of money.
Yeah.
But even the Japanese company saying their biggest market now, they're looking at China.
Right.
They kind of, not that they've given up on the U.S., but you figure Regis, which own hair salons, obviously if they have their salons telling people, oh, you need Rogaine,
right?
They were kind of feeding themselves. But to show how their profits are down shows you how many more guys are shaving their heads. So there's a lot less societal pressure.
Well, I also think it's a combination of guys shaving their heads and guys who have had success with drugs like finasteride over the years. Also.
Yeah, no, I won't discount the, because I look at you as the Consumer Reports of hair loss.
Right, I appreciate that.
And me, I'm just some hack that shaves. I'm a designer who said, screw it, I'm just going to shave my head. And really it came about because I was shaving my head. I would shave at night because it would take so long. And actually, I didn't tell the story last time, but I used to have this girl come over and shave my head. She used to love that. But then I got married, and I had to shave my own head, and I had to shave in the morning because if I shaved at night, I'd get 5 o'clock shadow. So essentially, I had to design a razor to shave my head that made it really easy.
Right.
So I did turn my Achilles heel into, a real lifestyle brand. because it is all about taking control.
Absolutely. It's amazing to me. What do you think about this study? There's a lot of guys out there. Actually, someone commented. I think there was another guy that wrote a piece for the Wall Street Journal a couple of days after the study came out, basically saying that it was all nonsense. Did you read that?
Oh, I didn't see that, no.
I have to find it. I saw it briefly yesterday.
Because they interviewed me a bunch for the Wall Street Journal article. What I love is the guy from UPenn that wrote it has a shaved head,
right.
Albert Mann.
Right.
And, looking at the little cheat sheet for the studies, the first one they had some guys with shaved heads and some guys without, who had full head of hair.
Right.
And then in the second one, they digitally removed the hair from the guys that had hair. And so even the test group people thought, when you compared guys with shaved heads versus guys with hair, shaved heads were more dominant, athletic, whatever. And then in the second one, even the guys who had hair, when they digitally removed it, the perception was the same, that without hair they were, more dominant, more, what's the other word? Taller and stronger.
Yeah, taller and stronger, which I thought was really. I mean, why would make them taller? Which is amazing to me.
You know what it is? It is because think about when you look at somebody and their skin is a lighter color, right? And when it goes up to the hair, sometimes you can't see where the hair starts and the hair ends,
right.
From their forehead to the top of their head. But when you don't have any hair, you can see the exact point at the top of the head.
That's a good point. That's actually a good point. I'm looking at the study.
I just came up with it.
Good for you on the
my
fly.
own study.
I'm looking at the study right now, and I think I got it right. They've definitely found that guys with visibly thinning hair, guys who didn't take charge of it, guys who haven't done anything or shaved their head, were viewed as the weakest and least attractive. But it also states that even though the guys with shaved heads appeared to be more dominant or taller or stronger or more successful, they were still viewed as less attractive than the guys with a full head of hair.
Oh, I didn't read that part.
Yeah. But, the truth of the matter is, how do you view, if someone is more successful, more powerful, more dominant, I think for the majority of women, that's pretty attractive. So, So I think that, if you lose a couple of points because you don't have the hair, but you gain a couple of points back because, you're perceived as being more powerful, then that's not such a bad thing. Now, granted, I do think that you have to really take care of yourself if you shave your head. You have to have a certain, sense of style. You have to be in good shape. And
I don't know.
I don't think so?
You're just saying, no, you're just using that as another excuse.
Well, listen. Yeah. But no, you look like you're in good shape, and you definitely have a sense of style.
I'm in terrible shape.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, maybe because your head is shaved, you look so tall and powerful.
That's what I'm betting on.
Right.
But no, really, I don't work out that. I worked out twice this month.
Wow.
Sure, when I go on the dating sites, it looks like every woman works out 5 times a week and, is amazing with all the parasailing and everything else they say they do.
Right.
But no, I don't work out that much.
Wow. Well, okay. What about, what do you think the majority of your guys? Now, you have a core group of fans and a core group of people who use your products, and I'm sure that they contact you. I'm sure that you've gotten a lot of thanks, and you've probably gotten a lot of emails. And I haven't really followed you much on Facebook. I think I do follow you, but I don't really read what's going on. Would you say that the majority of these guys that are shaving their heads, that are taking control, are guys that are really taking care of themselves physically as well?
No.
Really?
No. Yeah, I think when we talk about
I've been wrong so much tonight. I can't even believe it.
Well, no, I'm not. Okay, look, I'm supposed to agree with everything you say.
No, you're not. Absolutely not.
I'm in terrible shape, Spencer. I'm having a hard time just sitting up without having asthma. No, I do get a lot of emails from guys, and the saddest ones are the guys that have tried a transplant or did a toupee, and then decide to shave, and it's kind of like the years that they've lost. They kind of go back and go, oh my gosh, because really it is the freeing aspect.
Right.
You get over the fear in the first week of the first month, and then at least you can decide if you want to go back to hair.
Right.
Because here's the thing. I'll ask you a question, and you tell me if this is true.
Yeah.
Everybody says you cut your hair and then it won't grow back. Or you cut your hair and twice as much grows back.
Yeah, it's all bullshit. Both things, yeah.
Okay. Then shave your head, and it will come back in a month.
Well, listen, I agree with you. And if you listen to the show on a regular basis, you'll know that I tell people that really should be their first option. Don't do anything. And if you don't like the way you look with a thinning head of hair, shave your head. First option, stop listening to the program. Move on. And that, but if you can't deal with it, then, I always say surgery is the last resort, because once you're cut, you're cut. That's it. You can have the best transplant in the world, but you have to continue the process. Realize that they have to realize that there's a limited supply at this point to meet their demands. You're never going to get a completely full head of hair from a transplant if you are progressing to a Norwood 6 or Norwood 7. You can get close to Norwood 6 if you find the right, if you go to the right doctor and you have enough good hair characteristics. However, it's a process.
You know what was interesting to me? I had somebody in my office today or yesterday who shaved their head, and they have a full head of hair, and they said, I can shave, I don't have to shave my head, but I do it by choice. And then he was talking about the whole balding thing and said he wasn't going through that, but he feels when he shaves his head he's a lot younger looking.
Yeah.
And I said to him, it's because your hair's graying.
Right.
And he said, yeah. He said, I didn't really think about that, but when you look in the mirror and you're either losing your hair or your hair's turning colors or whatever, once you shave your head, you don't have that. You don't have, you're not counting the gray hairs unless you take your shirt off.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I am going gray. I've been going gray forever. I have gray in my beard. I don't care if my hair turns effing blue. That's how sick I am.
But I mean, some guys it's the color of their hair. Other guys it's losing the hair.
Right.
Everybody picks their battles or picks their, not phobias, but things they fixate on.
Right.
And I was starting to do that too when I was in my 20s and I was losing my hair. It was really depressing for me. And
well, the reason I like having you on is that and I think you just hit a chord with a lot of guys. If you go to baldtruthtalk.com message forums, you see the young guys especially are the most desperate and the most depressed. We have guys who are suicidal, guys who think that if they can't do something about their hair loss, if medication doesn't work for them or a transplant doesn't work for them, that their lives are over. I try to explain to them through this broadcast, and I think there are some great posters that try to explain to these guys that, there's life after hair loss. You just have to make a choice and figure out what you can deal with. Now, I've chose to battle this for 20-some-odd years. Am I happy with my decision? For the most part, yes. It's been a real pain in the ass, and it's caused me a tremendous amount of stress over the years. But like you, I turned my Achilles heel into a career. We just went different directions. So I really wouldn't trade it for the world at this point. However, I don't know what my future, how I'm going to deal with it in the future. Yeah, go ahead.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
But these guys, now because head shaving is so popular and because so many athletes and famous celebrities and politicians shave their head,
yeah,
I would think the pressure of somebody losing their hair would be less now than it was when you and I were in our 20s.
Absolutely. And I try to explain it to these kids all the time. Not only that, now we actually have real options where when we were young, there were no real options. Minoxidil wasn't even approved yet when we started to lose our hair. So there was really nothing. What was happening at these clubs, the pieces that were being produced and glued on these guys' heads were ridiculous. Hair transplants were in the dark ages. I mean, for us, it was really, really desperate. Now, at least people have choices, but the choice to shave your head was not even there. You had Kojak, Telly Savalas, and Yul Brynner.
Yep.
And that was it. That's all we had. And it was a very, it was a very unique look. Yul Brynner pulled it off beautifully. Telly Savalas, it was kind of a signature, but he didn't pull it, he didn't look, he didn't look that hot.
Did you ever see Telly Savalas on a
Twilight Zone? Yeah, absolutely.
When he had hair.
Yeah. Well, he was balding. He was starting to thin.
Yeah, but I mean, and the thing I like best about Telly Savalas is when people talk about him and how cool he was.
Yeah.
He was not a good-looking guy.
No, he was not a good-looking guy.
And it's
but he had that little weird fedora with the Tootsie Pop, and he kind of he pulled it off, and he was on television. He was an actor.
He owned it. He owned that look.
Yeah.
I mean, he and that's the thing about shaving your head. Like when I talk to people, hey, if you're losing your hair and you decide to shave change something, like if you wear glasses, change the style of your glasses, or if you wear a certain kind of shirt, change the style of the shirt. So when you shave your head and you look in the mirror, you're not fixated on the one thing that you changed.
Right. That's
you're looking at a new you.
Well, and that's it is liberating for so many guys. And don't get me wrong, I told you this already. I think it's incredible. I think it's incredibly empowering. To me, that is the best cure that there is. Just say, fuck it. I'm moving on with my life. This will never affect me again. And that's what you've done. That's what, millions of guys do now. And I think it's awesome. Guys shave their heads to varying degrees. Not everyone shaves it to the bone.
Right.
And I think that having a shadow, even if you're Norwood 6 or Norwood 7, for some guys, if you have the right type of eyebrows or you wear the right glasses, that could work as well, too. What is his name? Jason Statham?
Yeah.
Yeah, Stratham. Yep. Yeah, he that's how he wears, and he looks great. He has the face for it. It works for him. I actually saw him in person. He goes to my dentist. And he's actually kind of a little guy, in person. But I will tell you.
See, he looks taller. See?
Yeah, that's right. I was actually shocked at how small he was. But, he looks like a badass in person also. It just works. Right. He always has that shave, that stubbled, like 5 o'clock shadow. Or maybe it's 2-day growth, whatever it is. And he just keeps it really close cropped. And listen, it is what it is. He did not let it affect his life.
Right.
And I wish.
You think about a shaved head, it's like a blank canvas.
Yeah.
You can dress it up, dress it down, and it's almost like if you wear rocker stuff, people associate it as a rocker. If you wear artist stuff, you're an artist. It's so easy to fit in because it is such a United Colors of Benetton.
And that's actually true. And I don't think anybody very few people who are watching and listening really get that reference. But
the United Colors of Benetton?
Yeah, it was very Benetton was really popular in the 80s.
Am I that old, Spencer? Is that what you're saying?
I'm older than you, bro. Let me give out the phone number, 888-659-3727. I will tell you that I think the guys in the chat room, the regular core, 100 or so guys that hang out in the chat room are bummed that we're not talking about latest hair loss news, and they were talking about, one way I think that guys should really consider dealing with hair loss. Like I said, my core group of guys, man, they don't want to hear about head shaving. I think it's really important to put this out there, let people know what you do. And I thought it was important to talk about this study. And I know that you have a new product that you are putting out or that you already launched. Let's talk about that.
Totally. Yeah, it's called the ATX. I've been working on the original HeadBlade, came out in '99. It's all been designed around the ergonomics of shaving your head,
right?
Where I created a suspension. We've always been relegated to have the blade on the front of the HeadBlade, and we went from a double blade to a triple blade. Eventually, we went from having a pad on the back to the wheels, and then we went to a rubber fingering. The HeadBlade ATX, which I just came out with, I've been working on it for 3 years, and it brings HeadBlade or head shaving up to another level because we now have a 4-blade and a 6-blade, which are of the quality of like a Schick Quattro or a Gillette Mach 3 or Fusion. But we've been able to put the blade on the back. So anybody that used a HeadBlade before that didn't get used to the pushing instead of pulling motion, and we had to do that because of the design of the older blades and the way that we designed the pivot for the blade.
Right.
The new ones, the ATX with the 4-blade, we put the pivot in front of the blade itself, so it's dragging, which allows you to then put the blade on the back of the ATX, which gives you a new HeadBlade with no learning curve. So just out of the box, you can pick up the ATX, realize how it works, just start using it. Gives you a great clean shave with a better blade.
So it's kind of like, it was kind of like, I don't mean to cut you off, but like when you initially used the original HeadBlade, it was kind of like,
I was married before.
It's kind of like like doing something in a mirror image, I guess. Something that you're really not, you're doing it in the opposite direction that you would normally do something.
Yeah. Yeah, so, all the HeadBlade sports, and it's funny because there's a bunch of guys like on the forums that you're talking about who love the original HeadBlade and the HeadBlade Sport, love the original pushing motion, and it has a learning curve. The original HeadBlades, I think about it like parallel parking. You get the HeadBlade Sport, you have to understand how it works and why it's set up that way.
Right.
just like parallel parking, once you understand, boom, it clicks, it's the best shave ever. But if you don't get to that point, you might get frustrated, you might go back to a traditional razor.
Sure.
The ATX really branches off of what a conventional razor is because it has the blade in the back and you're using that pulling motion.
Right.
That anybody that's new to the HeadBlade family can buy the ATX, look at it, and it works exactly the way they think it should.
Right.
So that gets rid of the learning curve. The other benefit is because the blade's on the back, you can use this as a face or a body or a leg shaver.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, so it gets us to that point where it is, ATV, like an all-terrain vehicle.
Right.
The ATX is the all-terrain shaver.
Well, I think I'm looking at it right now. It's really, really cool. I'm going to see if my producer is available in New York to try to put this up on screen. So,
okay. Did we send you one?
No, I don't think you sent me the new one. No,
Maybe I sent it to your wife. She has it at home when you get.
she's waiting for it. She's waiting for me to get loaded so she can shave my head. Maybe she's shaving her legs with it.
Maybe it's Halloween. I know what you're going for. No, but the other thing about the ATX, which I love, is when I was a kid, I love cars. You could see the car-inspired design that I do for all the HeadBlades.
Yeah.
And when I did the original HeadBlade, I couldn't afford wheels, so it didn't have wheels. The HeadBlade Sport, I put wheels on them, cool wheels the size of a Matchbox.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
With the ATX, I went one step further and I made them soft, pliable rubber wheels with real tread. Because I remember when I was a kid and I'd buy like a model car. Did you make model cars when you were a kid?
I did, and you would actually roll it on your arm. Is that what you're talking about? Because I did. I would take these little cars and I love the feeling of the rubber wheels or the plastic wheels on my arm. Is that just me?
Well, yeah. But there's a total difference to me when you buy the model and you see the pictures on the outside and then you open up the model car and it has plastic wheels. And you're like, they screwed me.
Yeah.
But if it has a nice rubber wheels and you put them in your mouth and start chewing on them, and you're like, these wheels are, remember, it's not a toy.
Right.
HeadBlade's not a toy. But these wheels are really cool. And they give you that feel of, hey, it's a real vehicle.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at it right now. I think my guy is, oh, there he is, asleep at the switch. Hey, Andrew, see if you can put up a shot of the new HeadBlade. Just go to headblade.com.
We're just like big kids, aren't we?
Of course we are. Why should we change?
You got what's that movie with the radio show with the underground radio show? Oh, what was his name?
Oh,
Kelly Slater.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Not Kelly Slater. He went bald too, actually, and got a hair transplant.
Kelly, isn't it Kelly something?
No, it's not Kelly. It's Slate. It's I don't know. I have to think about it. 888-659-3727. Listen, man, let's take a phone call. And then I'm going to let you go at about the top of the hour. Let's see, what time is it now?
Maybe your listeners know.
5:43. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Good for the head, good for the legs. Hey, what about the butt?
Oh, man, you know what's really crazy? I just hung up on Todd. He's going to call. He's going to call right back.
Oh, let's hope so.
Yeah.
Because he's been hitting on so many good points tonight. And I would just like to confirm a few of them, as well as differ with them on one or two, because it's not all glowing when you shave your head off. We have to acknowledge this.
Let me see if this is him. Hey, Todd, sorry about that, man.
It's all right.
Yeah,
I fell off my chair.
So we have a guy, Marcus, calling in from New York who wanted to speak with you.
Okay.
Hey, Todd.
How
are you,
Marcus?
Yes. And by the way, Todd, I dated a girl from Bowdoin for a while. I got complete kink, and she was a screamer on top of that in bed. So,
my wife, what?
Yeah. Okay. And here's another reference for you, perhaps from Bowdoin. We were hanging out in those days with DJ Spooky. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
No, but do I know you from Bowdoin?
No.
And the guys in the chat room, they came up with the name of the actor Christian Slater.
Yes, that's Kelly Slater's brother.
Right.
Slater.
A few things. I completely agree with you. If you have the security and the boldness, and this is coming from somebody who's gone through the entire gamut of hair transplants, body transplants, you name it, scalp reduction, the whole bit. If you've got that boldness, just go ahead and do it. Don't even bother sitting in a hair transplant seat, because it'll be so liberating. And you know what? If you feel like hair one of these days after you shaved it off, you can always wear a wig periodically.
But also, it's always there, and I say that all the time on the show. You could either get a piece, or hair transplants are always going to be there for you. Try every option that's available to you, and I always say surgery is a last resort. And sometimes the doctors that I work with are like, Spence, why do you say that? Because that's just the way that it should be.
No. Absolutely. You can almost be like the male version of Little Kim, man. You can start wearing crazy hair, purple hair, pink hair. I mean, and people will embrace you as a persona instead of somebody who's trying to hide a fact.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something to turn into an asset. The shaved head thing is something that's very identifiable, and it's all how you own it and change it and make it into your, something that becomes part of you.
Right.
So what was your process, though?
Well, hold on, Todd. Also, I want to salute you because, hey, I just got back from Seattle where I gave a couple lectures, and I got to tell you, very cool town, very comfortable town. I had a great time there, but, man, there's some really good heads of hair in Seattle. I look at this stuff. That's how, vain I am. And so for you to basically... Yeah, for you to basically be living right in the lion's den of great manes, I take my hat off to you.
You see,
I live in Seattle now. And I got to tell you a funny story about that. I live in Santa Monica now, right?
Okay.
Seattle, there are a lot of great heads of hair, and it's probably because of all the rain, right? Because it's kind of like helps it grow, right? Great temperature helps it grow. When I lived in Seattle, there's a commissioned mural on the post office in West Seattle. Because how there are all the murals around Seattle?
Yep.
Well, there was one, and I helped paint it, and my name's on the plaque. And actually, it's on the West Seattle post office. And Lanny, the guy that painted it, I was his assistant. He put me in the crowd. And at the time, I had hair because I'd grown it back a little. And then they refurbished it. They refurbished the mural 2 or 3 years ago, and they made it so it all looks brand new again. And I was so bummed because I wanted to be able to know so they could paint me again, but take my hair off. Because if you go up to Seattle, you'll see me with hair on the side of the post.
With hair.
Yeah, so I need to go up next time and just paint over it.
Now, did you have anything to do with getting that Volkswagen underneath the paw of the little troll under the bridge?
No, but I went there.
I
went there.
Here's where I would differ with you guys, because you were talking about that Wall Street Journal article and so forth. Spence, when I got back to New York, I was invited to Learjet was featuring their new Bombardier 85, and they put it on top of the Intrepid Museum.
Oh wow!
So you could get on the deck, sit in the the passenger cabin, and decide whether you want to buy this whatever it is now, $120 million ride.
Right.
And I got to tell you, so top dollar people were there, and I just got to tell you guys, there are some real power brokers. However, the dudes with the good heads of hair were attracting most of the babes. Now, maybe it was just fleeting. Maybe it was just a little flirting and so forth.
Right.
But that's really still how it goes down.
Well, I believe that too. So I don't disagree with you. So, but the truth is, I think that you kind of have to eventually, your personality and your style and your power will transcend that initial flirtation that these chicks may have with the guys with the full head of hair.
You both are funny.
I agree.
I just watched Hitman last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you see the movie Hitman?
I did not.
Oh, it's all guys with shaved heads just shooting up the town.
Oh.
That sounds like fun.
But like I said, like I said, Todd, the psychology of the guys that are watching this program, that are listening to this show for the last 14 years, that come to our websites, are guys that have done everything they can to keep their hair. I think you offer really important, perspective that I kind of wish we had more of on our message forum. Maybe we can discuss that.
I saw that Neil Strauss was on your show.
He was.
How was reception to that? Because didn't he go through when he started shaving his head, that became his identity, or?
Well, yeah, but the reception was, to that was a little different because his whole thing is about, figuring out, ways to pick up hot chicks without being that attractive, right? His whole thing is like, that the whole game situation. So I think guys are really attracted to that. However, I will say that it didn't make a difference as far as, guys busting on his appearance, that he's, 5'6" and not that great looking and has, and he, some guys said he looked better with his hair. I totally disagree. I thought he owns it. When I first spoke to him and we had probably about a 2-hour conversation, I was just amazed at what he's accomplished and the fact that he really, evolved from being this completely insecure guy who, he didn't even get laid till after college. He was saying how difficult this was until he got took a hold of things, shaved his head, started to, get a sense of style and really focus on this whole pickup artist thing. It was pretty amazing. So, guys were into it, but I still think that there's just so many guys that will they just reject the idea of ever considering shaving their head. And I've been one of them for many years.
Yeah, but, to take it from somebody on the other side of the mountain, so to speak, I now look at guys with shaved heads with envy.
Yes.
To me, they are so primordially brave in what they've done.
And I agree with that. And I never took the step to have surgery. There are guys out there like, why don't you have surgery? Why do you, paint the top of your head and put a hairspray on? Or you can get, surgery from any surgeon in the world. Because I know that at least at this stage in my life, or 10 years ago, I just wasn't ready to make that step. I wanted to be able to, have more options. And like I tell everybody all the time, once you're cut, you're cut. Now, with that said, there are great hair transplants being performed. There are guys whose lives are being changed. I had 2 guys on the program 2 weeks ago. One guy, Spencer Stevenson from the UK, who is known as Specs Online, and the other guy, Joe Tillman, who's known as Joe Tronic Online, who both basically restored a full head of hair with hair transplants. And you would never tell in a million years that they had anything done. They're happy. It worked for their lives, and this is what they wanted to do. So I think if you're the right candidate and you have the right attitude and the right head to deal with cosmetic surgery, then that's a great option.
Oh yeah, and I've had friends that have had transplants too, and so there's not a, I don't not discriminate, but none of my friends are worried that I'm going to try to convince them to shave
their head, right?
Yeah,
but Todd, have
they
any
get
of your hair
me anyways? What?
Todd, have any of your hair transplant friends gone on to shave their head and then grow their hair back, and vice versa?
No, but I have met guys who, and this is always the saddest part, who have had transplants or some kind of operation and then started to shave their head, and then
forget it.
Shaved head, but they had the little dots in the back, and it was just, a whole different kind of self-consciousness because I'm shaving my head, which I should have done before, and now people know that I actually had a transplant.
Yeah, and that is the worst, and that's why I always tell guys, again, I'm going to repeat myself, it's your last resort. If you're prepared to not have the option to shave your head, that's great. Then you can go there. But if you ever want to have that option, at least with conventional types of surgical hair restoration, even with really refined FUE, that option is very limited, if non-existent.
Yep.
So,
and that's my predicament right now. In fact, I would shave my head, and you know what? I could get away with it. In fact, one of the assistants of one of the hair transplant physicians I went to, good-looking woman, she goes, and this was when I'd already been scarred, but she said, "Oh, wow, you have such a unique and distinct shape to your head. You should just shave it." But honestly, I'm too damn mortified to do so because, man, I'd be walking around like, not only, battle scarred, but, The Walking Dead.
Yeah, but you had, how many procedures have you had?
Oh, I've had over half a dozen. I probably, if I really counted them all up, it's probably somewhere between 7 and 8.
And you've had scalp reductions? You've had...
Two scalp reductions. I went into Unger, 3 times. I went into Cole 3 times.
Wow.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
I was thinking the other thing, with the recession and how money is tight, I wonder how much that's affected, because how much are those surgeries costing?
Well, I can tell you that, being in this end of the industry, I kind of know that it really hasn't affected, at least the guys that are doing really good work. So there's still a pretty big demand, just like any other cosmetic surgery.
Right. And I do think the price has come down a little bit, Spence, over the years. It
actually has.
Better than I.
It actually has. When I started in the industry, there were guys that are actually still doing hair transplants for $20 a graft. That's how long I've been around.
That was Unger.
Yeah,
Unger was doing 20 bills. I mean, I got totally racked over 6. I was in 6 figures.
Yeah.
By the time it was all done.
Wow.
That's unbelievable. Now the average is between $350 and $5 a graft. That's really the average.
So how much is that? It's like $5,000-$10,000.
Well, put it this way: for every 1,000 grafts, you're going to average $5,000 for 1,000 grafts. A decent size session is about $2,500, maybe more around $3,000 on average now. So that's 15 grand just
cheap,
for
man.
That's 15 grand just for one pass.
Wow.
Hey, if I had those rates, I'd still be able to fill my tank.
Look, I know a guy here in Los Angeles who does incredible work, but he charges $9 a graft. So for every 1,000 grafts, that's $9 grand. 2,000 grafts, and he does relatively conservative sessions. That's 18 grand.
Well, maybe there's 2 ways to look at it. One is maybe women date guys with shaved heads because they think they have more expendable income.
That's true,
right? They want a $50 razor instead of $15,000. But I'm also thinking I'm lucky that nobody ever looked at me and said, "Man, you are really cheap."
Right. Well,
you know what I mean?
Exactly. Maybe they look at guys who've had surgical hair restoration like, wow, he can afford this.
No, I think it's the first option. They know you got smart money. Guys, I'm going to let you go.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap up this segment anyway, Marcus. Thanks for the call.
Thanks, Marcus.
All right, take care of yourself, man.
Be good, guys. Bye bye.
888-659-3727. I want to thank Todd Greene for coming on the program. I always love hearing his perspective when it comes to hair loss because we're always talking about such doom and gloom on this show. I always try to let you guys know that you have to figure out a way to become comfortable in your own skin, whether it's having a hair transplant, whether it's taking medication, whether it's wearing a hairpiece, or shaving your head and just moving on with life. It's all about feeling good about yourself. It's all about figuring out a way to live your life as a hair loss sufferer. But in Todd's case, you don't even consider yourself a hair loss sufferer anymore. You just kind of like it's something you went through, and now you're past it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what I'd look like. The same app that we have that you should tell the guys, your listeners.
Sure, let them know let them know what it is again.
It's you go to the HeadBlade.com website, and there's one link, and it's for the iPhone. It's for the app for shaving your head. And I know there are other ones that, I could go to the App Store and download where I could put hair on my head because I don't even know what I'd look like.
Yeah,
that
would be interesting to see.
Yeah, it would kind of.
Because you have a very distinct look. The way you wear your glasses. I mean, you own it.
If I had hair, I'd be Ron Burgundy. That's a look that I'd go for.
That's a good look.
Classy.
Actually, I still have a little bit of that. But, all right, man. Listen, Todd. Listen, guys, go to headblade.com. And Todd, I want to figure something out. I would love to kind of get more interaction on our resources from guys who are shaving their heads. I think that's something that's missing, and I think that would give the guys who are really suffering out there, that think there's no hope, even if they, the guys who can't afford hair transplants or guys that are thinking that, unless I get my hair back, I'm not going to have a life. I would love them to kind of interact with some of your guys, so maybe we can figure that out.
Yeah, we have softball teams.
That would actually be very fun, man. That would be very fun. All right,
That's
listen.
What we should do. And the winning team, the other team either has to shave their head or grow their hair out for a month.
Or get a hair transplant.
No, I mean those are the high stakes. Let's do a keg, and you guys shave your heads, or we grow our hair back.
All right, we could figure it out. I don't know if I can get enough guys who actually listen to the show, leave their homes to play softball and do something active.
All right, then do them or something.
All right, we'll figure it out.
Bedazzled.
All right.
All right.
All right, man.
Thanks,
listen, thank you
Spencer.
so much. Todd Greene, HeadBlade.com. Check it out, Todd. Thanks so much for hanging out tonight.
All right, cool. Appreciate it, man.
All right, you got it.
All right.
All right, guys, 888-659-3727. All you doom and gloomers, if you want to call in to talk about the news, what's going on in the world of hair loss, feel free. Sorry if I interrupted your week with a little, hopeful discussion about, what can be done besides putting on a toupee, hairpiece, taking medication, having a hair transplant. And the truth of the matter is, look at me. I can't do it. I can't shave my head. Will it ever happen? I highly doubt it. I always say, I can't log into my computer here. I always say that I will do absolutely anything to try to maintain whatever hair I have. And when the day comes that I am not maintaining the hair that I have, I will, either get a hair transplant or try a hair system, which I've tried before, very small pieces. I've said that many times. Or if I need to paint my head more, I'll paint my head more. That's just the way I've chosen to live my life. But you don't have to follow my lead. You can follow a guy like Todd Greene. You can take charge of your hair loss and just shave your head. That's always an option. Guys, we're going to take a break. 888-659-3727. I'm Spencer Kobren. You're listening to and watching The Bald Truth. We'll be right back after this. Stay with us.
The winner of 7 prestigious Golden Forehead Awards.
My family's always arguing. It always starts off innocent and then it gets vicious right away. So I was like, hey, looks like you're losing some hair. At least my wife's not a whore.
Spencer David Kobren.
I got to tell you, I'm a little worried about Joe. He has not called in that I'm aware of. I mean, we have some lines lit, but normally he calls in like 15 minutes before the broadcast. So I do know that if something tragic were to happen to Joe, he left strict orders for Phyllis to call us and let us know. So I really hope that's not the case. 888-659-3727 is the phone number. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hey, Spencer. This is Vic from D.C.
Vic from D.C. What's happening, man? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. It's, I called in. I've been calling in quite regularly recently.
I think that's great, man. We love hearing from you.
Well, I appreciate that. And, I just want to give you an update. I remember I told you guys that I wasn't going to get a hair transplant, but I got to tell you, man, every time I log into thebaldtruth.com and I see all these pictures of these beautiful hair transplants, I want to get a damn hair transplant.
Look, I hear you, man. I mean, there's some great work being done out there, but I think it's important that you know this. And again, I'm going to put this out there. You guys all know this. I make an income. Part of my income comes from the hair transplant industry, from the guys that I've accepted into the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. However, as great as their work is, I will never sell surgery. And frankly, I think it was me who talked you out of it originally. Go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I got to tell you, your advice still floats in my head. Once you cut, you're cut. And that's the only thing, I swear to God, that's the only thing that's keeping me from jumping in the seat.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, whenever I go to the forum,
yeah.
some of these transplants look so natural, and they transform a Norwood 6 into a full head of hair. I got to tell you, any natural human being who wants to feel happy is going to react the way I do.
Of course. I agree with that. Listen, there's nobody in the IHRS who is providing anybody with an unnatural hair transplant. So the fact that they look natural, that's just, that's a given. That's a given.
So my update to you, Spencer, is I'm back in the decision-making process. I try to move on like your Todd Greene previous caller did, but I just can't because I tell you, hair loss messed me up, and I can't ignore the truth that some of these hair transplants are coming out freaking amazing.
Well, that is the truth, and you know I can't ignore that either. And I can't ignore the fact that I can't do what Todd did. You know, I always want to bring this this different perspective. You know, there are guys like Todd who, I mean, first of all, this guy, he actually started out in the industry when I started out. I remember when Todd contacted me back in, it must have been 1998, 99. I was new relatively. The show was just on the air for a short period of time. He wanted to advertise in the show. Told him how much it was, and at the time, this guy could not afford to advertise in the program. Now, he is in like almost every major pharmacy. His product is being sold across the country and around the world, and he's a big player. He really, again, took his Achilles heel and turned it into an incredible career. I admire him. I admire his creativity, and I admire the fact that he's given guys this option. And basically giving them a platform to communicate with each other and kind of like be part of this fraternity of guys who are willing to shave their head and be strong about it. I personally don't get it. I cannot do it.
You know what? And you know what? I thought I got it. And that's why I called in so happy that one time. I thought I got it. But you know what? I don't think I get it either. I tried. I even called in that day to ask your two guests, Joe Tronic and Specs, and guess what? I don't think they were like, they had to do something about it too, because they don't know how guys like Todd Green do it either.
Well, look, you could look at a guy like Specs. I mean, he really had significant hair loss too. I mean, it wasn't as significant as Joe Tronic's. Joe was like a full-blown Norwood 6. He had bad work done prior. Specs had some bad work too, but he has really good hair characteristics. So when you look at Specs, when you meet him in person, you cannot believe that he ever had a hair loss problem. Joe Tronic's hair characteristics are a little different. He has finer caliber hair, so I mean you can see it's a little thin, but this is a guy with fine caliber hair that came from a Norwood 6 with bad work. He's a repair patient, and he looks like he has virtually a full head of hair. Specs, it's unbelievable. So I get it, man. I get it.
Oh yeah, no. So definitely, I just wanted to update you that I'm back in the wagon. I am looking my diligently through IHRS and
well,
again,
what are you leaning towards? I know that you from what you told me, you have dark skin. You were leaning towards having FUE, and your concern was, will the scarring be noticeable? Now, the truth of the matter is, if you choose to never shave your head, then that's probably not going to be an issue for you. But remember, that option is off the table.
After FUE, correct?
After any type of hair transplant surgery, in my opinion.
Now, all these guys on the forum talking about beard hair, does that scar the chin, underneath the chin when they take it from?
It's interesting. There is a group of guys who are really desperate repair patients, and there are a few doctors out there that are doing pretty decent beard hair transplantation. There's a guy, Bisanga, in Belgium, who has had pretty good success. It appears that with the size punches that he's using, and at least the patients that are being presented online, Top Cat is one of the patients, and this other guy, EJJ, it appears that he is not leaving any visible scarring behind. I don't know what their chins would look like if they had if they were super tan, what would it look like underneath their chins. But the truth of the matter is, I mean, it seems to be something that for the worst type of repair patient, guys who are either stripped out, who are FUE'd out, who don't have enough hair to, help with the repair, it seems like a viable option. Now, it's only in certain hands, because I've seen some really bad facial and body hair transplant scars. So if you decide to do something like that one day, which I don't even see why you consider that at this point, you have to go. There's a specific crew of guys that are doing it really well, at least from what I've seen online. I have no idea what their bad patients look like.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, IAHRS, from all of the research I've done there, I think I concluded that quite a few of them are doing some really great FUE work.
That's true.
Cole, Feller, Bauman.
Well, these are the OGs. These are the guys that embraced it early on. When I presented it to them back in 1998, 1999, actually 99 and 2000, these were the few guys, the guys that you mentioned, they were like, what is this? I want to learn more about this. A lot of the guys out there wouldn't even take a second look until there was kind of some economic pressure and they realized that, this is what the consumer really wants. Cole, he took the ball and he ran with it. And you know what? I mean, there are some patients out there that have contacted us over the years that might not have been 100% satisfied. And that's with every single doctor out there. But I will tell you that his work is good. I mean, this guy loves what he does. He really believes that FUE is the way hair transplantation should be done. He completely converted his practice, and that's all he does right now. So if you're considering getting FUE, he's definitely a guy to consider.
Oh, definitely. And so, yeah, I just want to thank you for the making IAHRS possible, because had this resource not been available, I might have jumped straight into an FUT without doing my due diligence. So thank you for making the IAHRS.
Well, it's my pleasure, man. It's my pleasure. I'm glad that we're able to put this out there for people to at least have a decent pool of doctors to choose from, as opposed to everything else out there and all the other bullshit marketing that you guys are confronted with.
Oh, so, yeah. Of course, I appreciate that. I got one more thing. This isn't hair loss related, though.
All right.
Now, I got to tell you, man, there's some days where, and I don't know, I want to hear your thoughts on this. There's some days where, of course, either I'm having a bad day or I'm just sort of kind of a little bit of depression or whatever, but there's some days where I will just pig out when it comes to food. And I don't get it. I mean, like most of the time I'll eat healthy, greens, and try to stay alkaline, but there are some days where even if I try not to binge, I will just go out, have a whole pie of pizza.
It's so funny. I ate an entire pizza pie on Saturday night. So I get it, man. I mean, you think that I'm that disciplined? I tell you, I am weak like everybody else. But for the most part, I try to live a relatively clean life. I'm drinking a beer tonight. There are nights when these guys came over, we got loaded. We had a lot of fun. We went out to dinner. We drank Jack Daniels and beers. I try not to do that on a regular basis. I think that everything in moderation is okay. But, the bottom line is if you continue to pig out, if you don't take care of your body, if you drink a lot, your depression and your sense of worth and well-being just goes down the drain. If you take control, even if you can't really take control of your hair loss, but if you're able to take control, of everything else in your life, at least you're doing your best. You're dealing with what you can control. And, I never really understood the guys that, and listen, I get it. I've become overweight, over certain points in my life. But for the most part, I've always tried to control that because that's something within my control. So, but I get it, man. I pig out all the time. I love food.
Yeah, and so I just wanted to hear your thoughts, and I appreciate you sharing that, because I tell you, sometimes when I go to a buffet and I just look around, I'm like, am I the only guy who likes food here?
No, dude, I could eat. I have such a huge appetite. If you saw me, what I can pack in, you'd be amazed.
Oh yeah. Well,
I should be, if I just, fell into those urges and continue to eat the way I like to eat, I'd probably be 300 pounds. There's no doubt in my mind, especially at my age. It's very difficult to maintain my weight. So, yeah, I wouldn't worry about it, dude.
I got to tell you, I'm not logged online today, so I don't see the video, but I got to tell you, for 47, you look terrific.
I appreciate that, man. I really do.
Terrific.
I really do.
And Well, I will let you go. I just wanted to call in and again give you that update that I haven't.
How do I look for 37 though? Not so good.
I think to be absolutely honest, if I never knew your age, if you never shared it online, I would say you're right at there between 30 and 35.
Wow. Well, first of all, for whatever reason, my hair color doesn't really show up well on camera. I'm much grayer in person, but I absolutely appreciate that. Here's to you. You don't see me on camera, but I'm drinking to you right now.
Oh, well.
You made my night.
Well, I got to tell you, Spencer, so thank you for keeping this forum alive, because I tell you, I've finally come to grip with the fact that I'm not equipped to clip it and move on. So thank you again for the IHRS website and the forum, because I'm doing my due diligence. I think I got to get something done, and I'm going to keep you up to date with everything.
Well, I appreciate that, man. So, I wish you the best of luck. Don't jump into anything. Before you make that decision, let us know.
Absolutely. And I hope Joe from Staten Island is doing well.
All right. I'm gonna check on him when we get off the air.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bro. Take care. All right.
Okay. Bye.
888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Oh, and by the way, thanks a lot, guys. He looks 47 in person. Thank you, Suncast. I appreciate that. You're on the air. Who's this?
The curse worked.
The fucking curse worked. You got rid of Joe.
I told you I got rid of Joe.
You got rid of Joe.
I told you I was going to do it. Nobody believed me last week. Everyone's like, Andrew's drunk. He called in. You put the curse on Joe. I told you I put a curse on Joe. Now he's gone.
I can't. You know what? I'm really bummed, actually.
I'm the only one that can bring it back.
I'm worried. You should, while I'm on the air, you should email Joe, see how he's doing.
I don't know about that.
Andrew's still drunk. Well, Suncast has got some zingers tonight.
He does.
Unbelievable.
Joe's gone.
So you think that's it? No more Joe from Staten Island?
No more.
No, that's not.
I left the curse.
Do you think I'm sure his wife would have contacted us if there was a real problem.
She might be hoping that there's a problem.
Come on, man.
I mean, she may, from what I've heard. I put the curse, and I wasn't going to take it off, and he begged me to take it off. I said no, and now he's gone.
All right, well, take it off and see what happens. See if he calls in.
All right, maybe.
Come on,
I don't know.
Take the curse off.
I don't. I'm really confused by the chat room and the love for Joe. I mean, he's great, but at times, he's just overwhelming.
Look, I love Joe. I think that and I say this all the time, there's a little Joe in all of us as hair loss sufferers. Joe is at the ultimate end of the hair loss sufferer spectrum. He's the guy. He's a sufferer of sufferers. There's a couple of guys at the message forum who are as bad, if not worse, than Joe, actually. But he's the guy that I think everyone looks at and says, okay, it could be worse. I could be Joe.
I think that's why, because he's the worst.
Yeah. I mean, but to tell you the truth, I talk about this all the time. The reason I do what I do is because it really, really affected me. The level of depression that I dealt with at the age of 21, 22, I say till 25 or 26, was overwhelming. I never really suffered from depression until I started to lose my hair. And it was bad. I was obsessed, depressed. I'm still obsessed with my hair, obviously. But it really affected my life. So I get it. I certainly get it. But, Joe and there's, a segment of the hair loss population who they can't figure out a way to kind of get past it and figure out a way to feel good about themselves. And my way was I took medication, I put makeup on my head, I say, fuck it, I'm lucky I saved enough hair where I can make it work, and I live my life. Joe wasn't so lucky. So
I feel bad for him.
I feel bad for a lot of guys out there. That's why I admire guys like Todd. Take the curse off.
Fine, I'll take the curse off.
That's why I admire guys like Todd Green who come on here and he still gets shit. The guys in the chat room are like, they don't want to hear what he has to say. But this is a guy that decided to shave his head, didn't feel that comfortable to begin with. He admitted it. got made fun of. He had people who didn't want him in their weddings because he was a guy with a shaved head in the late 80s.
You guys, I heard parts of it, but last time when he was on, he was talking about how it's far more acceptable than it is now. It wasn't as acceptable.
It was far less acceptable.
And
when I was in the late 80s, I mean, if you shaved your head, you were a freak.
But I'll tell you, it happens now too. I mean, one of my buddies just shaved his head, and he didn't have an awful. I mean, it was thinning, but not that bad. And he shaved his head, and everyone's looking at him like, "Oh, you saw what Dave did? He shaved his entire head. Yeah, he was losing it there. Wow, he looks weird."
Yeah,
that's the first thing people say.
Yeah, it's a tough thing.
I mean, it still happens.
Yeah, dude, I couldn't do it. Imagine if I shaved my head; it would be ridiculous. You don't even like it when I shave my beard.
I don't. I told you, you got to leave the beard. Beard is money.
Oh, motherfucker.
But it happens. I mean, it's crazy that even now, and they're talking about, the chat was talking about how, in some groups it's far more acceptable than it is, in this group, because this is a saving your hair and what to do with hair loss. But, a lot of guys, they don't know about a show like this, and they go and they shave their head, thinking, okay, well, I'm going to shave my head, I'm going to live on. But there are people still, they're like, oh, wow, look at him, he's bald-headed.
Yeah, absolutely. And Billy, thank you for that compliment. I used to wear a full beard many years ago, but now my full beard is gray. So I would look like Papa Smurf at this point in my life. With a full beard. And I don't think Andrew would be happy with that. Andrew
No.
wants me to dye my hair. He's got this thing. I don't know what it is.
Jet black.
Jesus. I don't get it, man.
I think it'll look great.
But I'm thinking about, I think we should offer guys who are willing to shave their heads or who have taken that plunge an opportunity to be part of our resources. And I think that might give a little different insight to the guys who are really suffering, especially the young guys who can say, you know what, maybe there is another option. All right, I can get a hair transplant one day. That's going to be there. Or I could wear a hairpiece, or I could see how medication works for me. Or maybe I can see what these guys are doing and shave my head. They seem pretty happy. So I just think that's a great option. For me, it's not...
Would you do it for money?
For how much money?
How much money would you do it for?
$20
grand cash right on the table.
No, are you kidding me, man? That's my bar tab for a week.
I know.
I would... I might do it for charity.
A living for most of the viewers.
I might do it for charity. And I might do it for publicity. How's that?
You wouldn't for charity and publicity.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how much? $1 million, the same.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for $1 million, sure. Cash, I'd shave my head.
Just
absolutely.
Shave all the way down.
I would do it on the air. I mean, it's cash money. I mean, it'll grow back in 7 months.
Would you do it? Would you do it to bring back Joe his hair?
To bring back Joe's hair?
Yeah.
No, I love Joe, but no. Why would I do that?
No.
I love Joe.
I gotta hope that he'll turn normal.
I mean, would I have to keep it shaved?
No, you just shave it one time.
Oh no! If I could shave it one time to help Joe become normal, I would do it. Absolutely.
I don't think you would.
I would.
There's no way in hell.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't I do that? How fucked up would I be not to do that?
There's no guarantee that he'll be normal.
Oh no! If there's then no. If there's a guarantee that he'd be normal, I'd do it. If there's no guarantees, I wouldn't do it. If there was a guarantee that if I shaved my head, Joe from Staten Island would grow his hair back and be normal and have a good life, I would do it in a second.
Where do you think he is right now?
He may have taken too much medication and passed out.
You think so?
It's very possible.
Yeah. Or there was no news. Maybe he didn't feel like there's enough news for today.
Guy wants to know if I would shave if my kids asked me to. I would. If my kids asked me to shave, I would shave. Good news is I have no children. So.
You would shave your head if your kids asked?
I don't have any kids.
If you did?
It depends.
There's no way you would.
I tell you what. I know a guy, actually, Dr. William Lindsay. Was it William? Jesus. Is it? Yeah. And he's a hair transplant doctor, IHRS member, whose kid is actually suffering with brain cancer. And he shaved his head to, basically out of solidarity because, his kid was going through chemotherapy. I would definitely do something like that.
I wouldn't. There's no way.
All right. So if Jess had cancer, God forbid, you wouldn't shave your head.
Take care, brush your hair. No way.
So no way.
There's no way I would. No, there's no way. Why? That's silly. Why would I shave my head?
If she said, listen, I feel really uncomfortable, I would feel much better going through this process if you shaved your head with me.
I would. You know what I would ask her? If I lost my leg, would she cut her leg off too?
I love that, man. I love that about you. You know what I love about your relationship with Jess is that she gets it. She understands that you will never do anything like that and go out of your way for her in that respect, and she respects that.
Way. No, that's asking way too much. She knows.
I like that. I like that about Jess. She's given up on that shit.
She's totally given up on that. Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, there's no fucking way. I mean, he barely cares if I talk about one of my issues.
She came over. She's like, I bought these glasses. They're bad, right? And like a normal person would be like, no, they're not that bad. I told her they're the worst things I've ever seen.
Jesus. She actually looks really nice in glasses. What? I mean, she has nice glasses now. Why'd she get new ones?
No, it's the ones that she has are awful.
Oh, really?
No, she gets like a free one from like her insurance every year, and like she has a nice pair of Chanel's, but she picks up like a crappy pair every year.
Well, but she needs to see, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about Joe, though. I certainly am. I mean, something might have happened to him.
Yeah.
You know, because
the Valium, the Xanax.
Well, it's possible. It's possible. I mean, he's not getting, any younger. Joe's got to be, 55 now? What do you think?
Well, you broke up. I didn't hear you.
Joe's got to be about, 55, would you say?
How old? Yeah, he's your age now.
No. He's older than I am.
Sure?
Yeah.
Are you positive?
I'm pretty sure he's older than I am. I mean, I think he's in his 50s.
Well, he retired. Well, he's been retired for how long? Since 2001, right?
Yeah, but if I was a cop, I could have been retired for at least 10 years.
He's 54.
54. Wow.
Yeah. He's looking really frail.
You think he's looking frail?
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely looks. I mean, when I first met Joe, he was actually much more robust. He was probably, he's a tall guy. He's probably about 200 pounds when I met him. And he can't be more than 150 pounds now.
You know what's fascinating about Joe? And I'll tell you, like, there are times that I listen, I'm like, this guy's totally out of his mind. And then there are times that he's so insightful and, like, lucid.
Yeah. Well, you know that Joe has an MBA. He's not bullshitting about that. Joe went to graduate school and has a master's in business administration, and he became a cop after he got his degree.
It's unbelievable.
And it's all because of his hair loss.
Did he ever say why he became a cop?
Yeah.
Other than putting on the stupid hat.
That's why he said he needed to get a job where he could wear a hat all the time.
Hysterical.
And he said he just couldn't go into finance. He felt very uncomfortable with himself. And he became a cop.
That's really funny. I mean, that's... I feel bad for him. I really, really do.
There's a guy in the chat room that says he would make a great tranny.
I bet I would.
Yeah. Well, you have to shave, though.
No, I'll be one of those.
I think your chin is too prominent to be a tranny. You have a very masculine. You have a very masculine jawline.
That's why I hide it with the.
Why do you hide it? I mean, people pay for that shit.
What, the jaw?
Yeah, people pay to get like implants and a big chin.
They pay for a lot of crazy stuff, man.
There are guys that will, or women and whatever, they have like, chin implants and all kinds of shit because they don't have a prominent, strong jawline. I don't know.
I want to get as much plastic surgery as I can, so I'm just hanging on for everything.
Well, we'll talk about that soon, but soon enough you'll be in a position where you can get that if you want. So, do you want to take a call?
Yeah, I'll take one.
All right. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Good evening.
Oh my God, Joe!
I told you I took the curse off. Didn't I tell you?
Dude, was this a setup? Was this a fucking setup? Did you guys have this planned out?
Been in a pharmaceutically induced catatonic state due to the Angus curse. I've been heavily medicated all weekend. I just woke up. My son came home from buying a Halloween costume, and he woke me up, gentlemen. Andrew, please remove that curse.
He removed the curse.
Thing.
You missed it. We were worried about you, so I told him to call in so he could remove the curse.
I've been freaked out all week, man. I've been suffering. It's been horrifying.
All right.
You guys got it, man?
Dude, your curse is gone.
It's gone. I took it off. I took it off about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. And everyone's waiting everyone's waiting for your news piece, dude.
Well, what do they want? They want the news. Let me just say one thing first of all. Okay, first of all, good evening. What happened to my theme song? Is your engineer asleep tonight, Spencer? Or what?
I'm ready for you, man. I was waiting for you to say something. I was waiting for you to say something profound before I played the theme.
Well, I gotta say, how the fuck? I don't want any investigation of the FCC. Are they going to give Dr. Lee 5 years in jail and a $250,000 fine when these mother effers who wear white coats have physically assaulted people and committed criminal negligence and criminal negligent homicide, to say the least? And these guys are walking away scot-free, these so-called physicians, and they're still practicing. But poor Dr. Lee is guilty at the most of maybe selling ineffective products. So what? He hasn't destroyed anybody's life like these mother effers have. God, we need some fucking justice, man. I'm fucking pissed tonight.
Joe from Staten Island.
Excuse me.
Would you like to may I reiterate it? Have you heard it? Excuse me.
Joe from Staten Island.
Joe, that was very well said. Where did you hear about the 5 years thing? I know it's a possible 5 years.
They kid me. Of course, the guy has to go to trial.
Right.
He's facing 5 years imprisonment and a $250,000 fine. I don't think we'll get that.
Yeah,
that's what he's facing.
Yeah,
these motherfuckers. Shoot my line, Spencer. Have your engineer bleep me out.
All right, we
you
will.
Don't mind. I'm about to use some profound language. I'm really agitated tonight. These motherfuckers who have physically assaulted me and thousands of other hair loss sufferers, destroyed their goddamn lives. They're still walking around practicing medicine, and they're still going to put in jail. What the hell's going on? That's all I want to know. I'm sorry, Spencer. I'm just...
Joe, you know what? I couldn't agree with you more. And again, I said last week that, even though I don't necessarily agree with the way that, the business was run, and, you have to work within the parameters of the law in anything that you do. I certainly do. And I'm not saying that Dr. Lee didn't, but apparently that's what the feds believe. The feds, right, Joe?
But how about these doctors who are cutting people's scalps open and destroying their lives? Are they operating within the parameters of the law? I really don't think so.
Well, the truth
they're committing assault.
The truth of the matter is they are, and it's fucked up. But that's just the way that it is. It's surgical hair restoration. Any type of cosmetic surgery is, there are certain parameters you have to work within, and sadly, there's really not much regulation when it comes to any arm of cosmetic surgery. That's just the way that it is. If they are a doctor, if they are legally allowed to perform surgery, any doctor, any MD or DO can perform any type of surgery. Frankly, you could be an emergency medical specialist and you can perform heart surgery legally, which is insane. But, the bottom line is they're working within the parameters of the law, and the laws are very loose, they're very lax. And you're right. I agree. There are a lot of guys out there who have done a tremendous amount of damage who will never be taken to task. Frankly, that's why we start.
I'll take the rest of the show to do it.
Sure, but that's why we started the Bald Truth, because I have named names over the years.
I'll take the rest of the show to do it. I'm sorry.
Well, you do whatever you want.
No, I don't have to name any names. We know who they are.
There are a lot of people that have been harmed out there. There's a lot of guys that are still practicing who have harmed so many people.
I know two guys that have been butchered totally here in New York.
Chauncey and Steve Grillo.
Well, Steve Grillo and Chauncey by one guy, but I told you about my friend that one of your guys did the repair work and really fixed him up. But
a fellow repaired him, and it was a guy. The actual guy that did his original surgery was trained by the doctor who screwed up Chauncey and Steve Grillo.
Well, I won't comment on my opinion of Steve Grillo, but on his hair and him personally. We'll get to that tonight.
Let me hear. What do you think about Steve Grillo personally? Tell me your thoughts.
Can I put a curse on him? First of all, I think you want to comment on his hair, or that's below the belt? And I won't comment on his hair; it's below the belt. Personally, he's a loser. He's physically unattractive. He has no personality at all. He's arrogant, and he's vertically challenged, and he's just a piece of shit, to put it mildly. I should name the Spencer.
Well, listen, but you're actually
pretty
pretty lucid tonight, and I think that
I just woke up, man. I've been sleeping all day.
But look,
thanks to Andrew's curse.
That's the way that you feel. You feel that's how you feel about Steve Grillo. Listen, I know a lot of guys who've had experiences with Steve who feel similar to the way that
I
you
told
feel.
you, my wife thought that Steve Grillo was like in a bad car accident because his scar is so bad in the back of his head, it goes from ear to ear.
Yeah,
That's so bold. Say truth.
But you should, well, the thing is, Bernstein, the only thing he tried to do was make him look more normal. As far as his,
I'm not getting to that.
Well, as far as his scalp is concerned, at least, at least in the front.
I'm not going to comment on it either.
Okay.
If you want, I'm not. As you know, I'm very agitated tonight, son. I'm in a bipolar, agitated mood. As the hair loss sufferer knows, I'm not an expert, guys. I'm not an expert. As you attack me all week. I'm not an expert, okay, guys? I'm sorry, Spencer. I'm extremely agitated tonight.
Andrew,
who said you're not an expert?
What'd you say, Andrew?
Who said you're not an expert?
The hair loss sufferers in the community have attacked me because I consider myself an expert. No, I'm not a scientist. I'm a physician. Yes, but I am an expert on what's coming down the pike. I know every goddamn thing there is to know, except top secret information, which no one knows except the guys on the message forums and like hair site know. Fuck them, you motherfuckers. You're so fucking insane, you guys. You make me sick. I'm sorry, Spencer, about that.
That's okay. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting conversation on that site tomorrow about you, or maybe even on our site.
They are so fucking insane, man. With that, they've gone off the wall, man.
Well,
some cats on balltruth.com have gone off the wall. I'll tell you that.
Well, you have to understand the guys that are now on Ball Truth Talk are guys who were once or currently on Hair Site. So a lot of guys migrated to our site because we have the most traffic site in the world right now when it comes to hair loss. So they obviously want to be where all the action is. And I get that. Listen, I think
you guys know fucking nothing. You're fucking morons. Get a fucking job. Stay off the forums. You guys are corrupting mankind. You guys are insane. Fuck you all. I'm sorry, Spencer. I'm just in a very upset mood tonight.
No, it's good. It's good. Look, we got some new sound bites for the show, and I appreciate that. Right, Andrew?
I mean,
I'm sorry. That's why I'm staying quiet.
No, I've been off the air, as you know, for an hour and a half. Any comments where it was?
Yes, everyone was worried about you. Actually, Andrew and I were talking about it, and I basically said, listen, you've got to take that curse off of Joe so that he can call in. And, lo and behold, he takes the curse off and you call in. That's why I think it was a setup.
I swear to you, it wasn't a setup.
So I think you and Andrew were in cahoots.
You saying
no, we haven't called me.
His producers haven't called me.
All right, I believe that. We had. You know what? It's probably better. It's probably better that you didn't call in because we had Todd Greene from HeadBlade on the air. I know how you feel about head shaving.
Yeah, I wouldn't even listen to 5 minutes what he had to say because it would bore me.
Yeah, but the thing is, and again, I'm going to state this again. This guy has a great attitude. This guy changed many guys' lives by inventing the HeadBlade, including his own. And I think
how did he change someone's life? I'm sorry.
Basically, he created a community of guys who are embracing shaving their heads and moving on with their lives. And they all are part. They're using this, this device that he invented, that he designed, and it's kind of become, I don't know. In a sense, it's almost chic to have the ability and just be a part of the head shaving community. So I think it's pretty cool.
Well, that's one community I want to become a part of. Believe me, I want to become a part of the hair brushing my hair community.
Well, it's a lot easier to become a part of the head shaving community than the growing your hair back community, as we all know.
Well, I think this guy's fucked up. He's probably psychotic, man.
No,
this
guy's got.
I'm sorry.
You got to take that back. This guy's got his shit together. I admire him a lot.
All right, you're the man, you're the boss. I have to take it back.
All right.
I'm very agitated tonight. I had to take my medication. I just got up. I'm just in a hateful mood. I'm tired. Just tired of these sufferers, their attacks and their things they're putting out there. It's making me sick.
Well, what's the latest that they're putting out there that I'm not aware of?
Well, they're attacking you. They're attacking me. They actually believe that me and you have the cure for hair loss, and we're suppressing it. We're being paid off by L'Oreal and all these corporations. I haven't got my check yet. Have you, Spencer? I'm still waiting for it in the mail.
No, but I'm going to give him a call. I'm going to give him a call this week, see if they can send it to me. I'm not even worried. Why are you even worried about that? That shouldn't mean shit to you, Joe. That's great. Listen, let them talk about you. It's important. It means that you are effective at what you do.
Well, I appreciate that, Spencer. I really do appreciate that. I'm just glad Andrew removed his curse. It's really, I've been having, a horrifying week. Everything is like just horrifying.
So listen, there are guys who've been waiting for any new news. Is there any new news that you can share with the audience?
All right. I hate to disappoint the sufferers. I'm going to be attacked now. You know that, of course.
Yeah.
But there is really no news. The bottom line is, in 2 weeks, the head conference in me in Bahamas, as you know, Spencer. We're going to have breaking news, hopefully from there, from Gail, from Histogen, all these other corporations. I don't know. I don't have the inside track like these other cats have. I'm being sarcastic when I say that.
I'm supposed to have Dr. Zarian on the program after Histogen comes out with the news. I hope that happens. We still have not received the images that we discussed several months ago when Dr. Zarian was on the last time. Yeah, so hopefully we'll be able to get those images as well. I think they were kind of holding things close to their vest because they wanted to, present everything that they need to present at this meeting. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Now they're attacking me. Mr. Phillips is attacking me in the chat room, stating that I'm being paid to suppress the news.
Well, I'm going to tell
why do I suppress the news for?
McPhillips asked me what a product I use to paint my head. I use a product called Derm Match. It's DERMMATCH. Who's laughing?
Can I tell you something, Spencer? I don't want you. Could you have your ready to play this out?
Yeah, go ahead.
Fuck you, dudes. You guys are fucking nuts. I'm sorry, Spencer. I'm just agitated tonight, man. It's horrifying.
Well, why don't you take like a Xanax or whatever you take? What do you take? Valium, Xanax? What do you take?
Well, I take Valium, Xanax, Klonopin. I take a multitude of depressants and antidepressants. Zyprexa. I take Effexor.
You take Xanax, Valium, and Klonopin at the same time?
Yes, and we'll mix with alcohol.
Oh my God, Jesus!
But actually, I woke up in a very, as you know, I'm bipolar, Spencer.
Yeah.
And I woke up in a severely agitated mood. My son actually just woke me up and just came home. He wants to have a Halloween costume.
What is he going to be this year?
He's going to be hair loss sufferer.
No, he's not. Come on, what's he going to be?
No, I tell you, I have no idea. He wore a costume. I just don't know what it is. I'll ask him about it later.
You have absolutely no interest. You have no idea.
You want to put him live on the air to see what his costume is?
You can if you want, but I'm just curious. Like, you don't have any interest. It's just kind of like, whatever. All right, kid. Thanks for waking me up.
Yeah, they want to know what your costume. They want to know what your costume is. Lois, here he is. Here, let me choose my son now. The audience, tell me what your costume is.
I'm an evil jester like my baldy head dad. He has no hair like you, Spencer.
So you're an evil jester.
Yeah, he's the evil jester. He thinks you wear a wig, Spencer.
That's all right.
My dad wears extensions.
Good for him.
Wait, listen to this, Spencer. I don't know what's up.
I think Vincent is attacking Spencer.
He is. He's saying I wear a wig. That's okay.
My dad suffered. He has no hair. If you saw him, you'd see that he has all extensions and glue. He uses lots of glue.
Did you say he uses a lot of glue?
I'm sorry, Spencer. He's off the air.
Now, where are your extensions exactly, Joe?
No, he's listening. He's psychotic. You know, he's borderline psychotic.
Oh my God! Poor kid, Joe. You really
What?
did a number on that kid.
You what?
You really did a number on that poor kid.
Well, I tell you something, Smith. I don't want to, alarm you on it. He wants to be castrated.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, because he don't want to lose his hair. I said, don't worry about it because by the time you're ready to be a hair loss sufferer, there will be a cure. So don't
But you
worry
know how
about it.
sad that is. The fact that he didn't have to know anything about this. He didn't have to be involved in this show. He didn't have to be involved with your obsession. He could have lived his life as a young boy without ever worrying about hair loss.
Well, Spencer, I'm part of the show, and
yeah, but you know what? I mean, there's people are part of a lot of things. You know what I mean? My dad apparently went to Italy a lot when I was a kid. I had no idea where the fuck he was going. I wasn't made privy to his mental issues. I wasn't made privy to, whatever he was dealing with. I was a child.
Well, Spencer, that's what he said. He wants to prevent hair loss. And I told him no.
But how would he know about castration? How would he know about any of that stuff if he didn't hear it from you?
Yes, he heard me on the show. I presented it 2 weeks ago on the show, that castration people who...
Why do you let that kid listen to the show?
He listens to himself every week on his personal computer. He reviews the show.
Andrew, help me out here. What do I do with this? I mean, how does Joe not understand that there's something wrong with this?
I think Joe's absolutely right.
Joe's right.
Yeah.
What?
Tell me.
Well, what, Andrew? If I was castrated at 12 years old, I would have been much happier guy today. I would have had prosthetic testicles put in. I would have had a beautiful head of hair, and I would have,
You would have had nudicles put in.
What's that, Spencer?
I think that's the thing, Joe.
You would have had nudicles
Joe, what
put
happened? People want to know what happened to your job at the movie theater.
That lasted 2 days. They fired me.
Why?
Because they said I was very distracted because I was studying guys' scalps. They didn't say it, but they knew I was very distracted.
All right, so you were basically taking tickets at the movie theater.
Yeah, now I'm looking for some other type of work. I don't know.
So you know that there's like the guys that take the tickets at the movie theater, especially when they're above the age of like 14, they're usually guys who are, have extremely low IQs or maybe slightly mentally retarded. How did you get the job?
I don't know, Spencer. Maybe your production company, GFQ Network, could help me out, give me my own show. Maybe I could make a couple hundred a week.
What would you talk about? What, I'm going to give you your own show to take my fucking place? You going to take my job now?
No, I would talk about the depression of hair loss. I would talk about the social effects of hair loss.
What do you think I've been talking about for 20 years?
It's another hair loss show.
Yeah.
Well, how about transsexualism? I'd host a show on that.
Yes, you could do a show on transsexual. If you want to do a 1-hour show and you have content about transsexuals, you could do it.
All right, we'll just have to talk about that. So I just want to say something.
Trannies.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate the fact that I've been missing out of action for an hour and a half. You guys welcomed me so nicely into the show.
Well, we were worried about you, and I think what can we call your show? Like, we'll call it Joe's Chicks with Cranks.
Joe from Staten Island. The Joe from Staten Island show.
Chicks with Cranks with Joe from Staten Island.
No, I think it's a new twist. This Week in Transsexuals.
Right. That's awesome. That would be so... Dude, you can go to all the clubs in New York. You can do live interviews with these transsexuals.
What's that big one in the city that Chauncey talks about?
Idlewise.
I would do more than interviews.
Yeah.
I would do more than interviews.
What would you do?
What I have actual experiences to discuss.
There's Suncast again. Joe has a bigger audience than Spencer.
Yeah, Suncast has been attacking me aggressively tonight. Maybe your producers...
He attacks me. The guy attacks me on the air. Are you kidding me?
But I like Suncast personally. He's a nice guy. But
no self-control.
He's getting a little up. He's getting a little up.
He is a nice guy, though. He is a nice guy. But there's something wrong.
I like him very much.
There's something wrong with Suncast. He can drink. He doesn't drink. You can give him 10 shots of Jägermeister, whatever you're drinking, and he wasn't showing... Unless I was so loaded I didn't notice it. He didn't seem drunk at all.
I didn't notice it either.
He's like a fucking robot.
I think he is a robot.
I've never seen anything like it.
It would explain a lot, actually.
I'm telling you, I've never seen anything. I mean, he's a robot until he laughs. You know, and,
I think he's programmed to laugh like that.
Well, I think he's a very good boy. To tell you the truth, he's a good-looking boy. I like Suncast very much.
You like him more than me, Joe?
Well, I think the whole GFQ staff is very good-looking. I have to say that. You, Coco, of course, Spencer.
It's a Norwood Fest here.
It's a Norwood convention. Are you kidding me, man? Actually, the only non-Norwoods are you and Suncast.
That's it.
Well, I wouldn't really classify Coco as a Nord. He's just a thinning crown. I don't know what class that would be, Spencer. What would you say about that?
To me, he is like a 3 vertex, because he actually kind of combs his hair a little bit forward. He does have a recessed hairline to some degree, and he has a pretty significant thinning vertex.
Who is this?
Well, that's
Coco,
obvious.
yeah.
I studied his hair, as you know.
By the way, I put the curse on Coco 3 weeks ago.
You did. That's why he disappeared.
I did. Yeah, he's gone too.
Yeah. Now, Spencer, I've diagnosed what's his name? Mitt Romney is a number 2A. Would you say that's a correct prognosis?
I would say that's a correct prognosis. He's actually moving towards a 3, but he has a very strong mid-anterior scalp.
Well, you say about 3,000 grafts would take care of him? 25.
Oh my God, it's 3,000 grafts would bring him back to an incredible head of hair. But he doesn't need it. He looks great.
Well, sorry.
Go ahead, Joe.
Spencer, you said President Obama was suffering from hair loss, but I really can't.
I didn't say that he was suffering from hair loss. You said he was Norwood 0. I'm telling you that he's not.
I can't comprehend how he's losing his hair. You saying he brushes it down?
He has a little bit of a brush forward situation going, but it's not much. He has a full head of hair. I mean, he has a mature, full head of hair.
So would you rate him as a Norwood 0 or a Norwood 1?
No, I would rate him as a maybe a 1.5.
But the cats on these sites are now arguing who has better hair, Romney or Obama. This is the newest thing now on the site.
Romney has better hair.
Obama may have he may be a little lower on the Norwood scale, but Romney has presidential hair. That guy, he's 65 years old. Think about
Ronnie Reagan, though.
Oh, come on, dude. That was
he
abnormal.
Definitely holds his hair. There's no doubt about that.
So what?
Except he didn't cover his sideburns. I find that very odd.
He chooses to have the distinguished gray sideburn look.
Oh, but President Obama has a lot of gray hair, significantly gray the last 4 years since he's been president.
I personally think he dyed it for the initial election, and he kind of let it go natural, and he may be dyeing it now again.
Maybe he's trying to give off body language stating the stress of the presidency has done this to me. Maybe is that a possibility?
I don't know.
Well, of
Hey,
course,
before I forget, Spence.
Yeah.
This is why I called in. I totally forgot to tell you. I had a doctor's appointment to get some tests done for my back, and the guy that was doing the test, I was looking at him, and he had a hair transplant.
Oh, really? So you could see it.
And he had to have gotten it. I mean, in the early days because it was really pluggy.
Yeah.
But at first I couldn't tell because he was far away, and I spent like 45 minutes just like staring at his scalp to like evaluate it.
Oh, man.
And he knew, he knew, and we made this bizarre eye contact. Like I knew he had a hair transplant.
Right. That's the worst.
And I was looking for the linear scar, and I couldn't see a linear scar, but it looked really, really pluggy.
Yeah. Well, if he grew his hair out, you're not going to see the scar. But yeah, that's rough, man. That's probably the worst thing for a guy who, invested the money, the time, and the emotional, toll that it takes on someone to go through that, and then they come away with an obvious hair transplant. That's the worst, man.
Yeah, and the line for his hair looked way too round.
Yeah, that's the way.
What I mean?
That's the way they used to do it.
Where they drew the line for the hair, it was just it looked too perfect in a way.
Well, that's the thing. It's got to be a staggered hairline, and you have to basically have one hair graft placed in the front, and then behind that you could have 2s and 3s. There's a real art to it.
it looked like he had like one done, and that was it. Like he never went back for like a second or third procedure.
Well, the truth of the matter is every procedure should be a standalone procedure. Even if it looks thin, it should not be noticeable. It should not look like a hair transplant.
No. What I'm saying is that I think he went, and he could have possibly needed like a couple of them, and he went for one, and he was like, fuck it.
No, but I know that. But what I'm saying is, even if he had one, it should be standalone, meaning that it may look thin, but you would never be able to tell that it was a hair transplant. He went to a guy where you really need to fill in the grafts in order for it to be less obvious. But, a guy should be able to go in, have a single session, even if it's not a full head of hair. It should look like maybe he has a thinning, or, like a hair loss problem. But it should not look artificial.
I felt so bad for him because I was evaluating his head, and he knew what I was doing.
Yeah, and that's terrible, man. Why'd you do that to the poor guy?
I don't know. I was just staring at it, and it was like a 40-minute test, and I was just staring at his head the entire time, and he knew. We made eye contact, and I almost wanted to be like, hey, who'd you go to?
Yeah, well, how old was he?
Probably mid-40s.
Yeah, he probably had it done, when he was younger.
A while ago, yeah.
It's so sad.
Long Island guy.
Oh, who knows? He may have gone to who.
Yeah, I mean, he's a Long Island guy, and
if he's a Long Island guy, the chances are, if he had it done in the 90s, the chances are he went to Long Island Medical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bad. I mean, it was really bad. I mean, if you look at it from afar, like most people aren't going to look at it and be like, "Wow, he got a hair transplant," but it looked really bizarre, and like they were like the front was really full, and then it was like really there was a spot, like the crown area was a little spotty, and then like the back was really full. Like it was just bizarre looking.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad, man. Listen, there's so many guys walking around like that. We call them the walking wounded. Joe is one of them. And, Joe's life has been put on hold for the last 30 years because of this shit.
Who knows? This guy might have not known until I just stared at his head for like 45 minutes.
No, he knew. He knows. Believe me, he knows. And you confirmed it for him. When he was done with his day, I'm sure he had a couple of scotches.
I'm positive. That's why, when I knew that he knew, I really wanted to be like, hey, I work with Spencer Kobren. I kind of wanted to bring it up because like I felt really uncomfortable.
The likelihood is if he had a bad hair transplant, he knows.
He knows who you are.
And the reason for that is sadly, so many guys they don't do their research until after they have the bad work done, and then they're like, fuck. But you know what? If he knew me, he would recognize you at this point, I think.
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, I think so. I think, there's definitely that connection now that we worked together for the last 2 years.
I don't know. I felt so bad for him.
Yeah, we're going to wrap things up, Joe. Go ahead. What are you going to say? And then we're going to...
Just two quick things. Just quick things I wanted to say. Like, I mean, as you know, my hair is really not that bad because some physicians have seen me. I think if I was really destroyed like some of these guys were, I think I probably would have killed myself, to be honest with you.
I agree, and you're right. You really weren't destroyed like these guys. Look at Marcus. Marcus calls in. Marcus is a guy that bangs still bangs cocktail waitresses 2 at a time. He said he's had more than a half a dozen procedures, 2 scalp reductions, totally destroyed. His donor is decimated, and he still finds a way to live his life.
Well, that's what he says anyway. We don't know if that's true or not, do we?
Oh, he's whitening strips.
One more final thing.
Yeah. I do whiten my teeth.
Is it my imagination, or has President Clinton lost significant amounts of hair, or am I imagining that?
Listen, how old is he now? 70? How old is President Clinton?
He's 65. I think he lost at least 50% of his hair.
He's 65? Well, I tell you, Romney's really holding up pretty well then.
No, I said Clinton, not Romney.
Yeah, but Clinton is 65 and Romney's 65. And look at the difference of these guys. I think Clinton lived a pretty rough life, and he had, obviously he has heart condition and whatever other issues.
Al Gore is 64, by the way, and he looks pretty good.
Actually, I think at this point, he looks like a mess. He gained so much weight.
Well, Al Gore's bald spot suddenly disappeared, so I would say he had some type of intervention with that. You ever notice that?
Well, he did. He had intervention for a while, but now it's kind of like back. So, and yes, Suncast, we are wrapping up the show. Sorry to keep you. Jesus.
Well, Spencer, I want to thank you, but your producer Andrew, for your concern over me tonight. I'll be listening to the show tomorrow when it's repeated, so I can hear exactly what you guys have to say about me not being.
Oh, dude, don't listen then. You don't want to listen.
Take your curse off me, Andrew. Please, you're destroying my life. Worse than the doctor who destroyed
All
my
over
life.
it. Stop. Put the curse on Billy now.
He did
Billy
take it
has
off.
the curse.
He did take it off.
Well,
All right, guys. Joe, I'm gonna cut you off, dude. I gotta go.
Put a curse on those goddamn hair transplant doctor who destroyed thousands of lives. Okay, Andrew, do that for me.
I put the curse on Billy. He has it for the week now.
Oh man.
You guys be working Friday on the free for all?
It's up to Andrew.
Yeah, we're working this week.
Okay. All right, boys.
God bless
Andrew.
you, Spencer. God bless you, Andrew.
Andrew, thanks so much for hanging out as always.
No problem. Anytime.
All right, and Joe, you take care. I'm glad you're okay. All right.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. Andrew almost cost me my life, but I'll try to work that out.
All right, man. Have a good week. Let me give out the websites, thebaldtruth.com, of course, IHRS.org. If you're considering surgical hair restoration, check out the IHRS doctors. For the American Hair Loss Association, check out AmericanHairLoss.org. And, of course, if you want to join other hair loss sufferers and interact with guys and ladies who are dealing with hair loss just like you, check out baldtruthtalk.com. It's a great community. You kind of have to read between the lines sometimes. There's a lot of guys out there that are very desperate, unhappy, but there is also a lot of great information, a wealth of information on baldtruthtalk.com. So take the opportunity to join the community, baldtruthtalk.com. Until next time, I want all of you guys to be strong and God bless.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.